Just barely outrun him. That was so like I was on my toes the whole time because
So, number 4.
Giants pick Andrew Thomas out of Georgia, offensive tackle. I chose this because I think the Jags take the Giants, David Gettleman's guy, and I feel like he's not going to go for Mekhi Becton. Just doesn't seem like a thing that Gettleman would do. So, Andrew Thomas out of Georgia.
All right. This one goes to the Washington Redskins. And whenever I was making this, I think the toughest part was trying to find a person that matched the team's every team's needs, because it's always tough to find those.
Yeah.
And so I went with an offensive lineman. I went with Tristan Wirfs. The Washington Redskins take Tristan Wirfs. I think he is a game-changing offensive lineman. I think it's kind of tough not to take him.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good pick if the rumors are true about O.J. Howard possibly going to the Redskins for Trent Williams.
Yep.
So yeah,
And Trent Williams is not happy with the organization as a whole, so you need to find someone else.
Yeah. So we're at pick 5 with Miami, or that's who I have here at this spot, and they take Tua here. I think the tank for Tua thing kind of stays in effect, even though they didn't go, they didn't get the first overall pick to get Tua. They didn't have to, in my opinion. So Tua at number 5. Who do you have?
At number 5, the Miami Dolphins, for me, take Jeff Okudah. I think they are deeply missing Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think they didn't really use him right in the secondary. They constantly changed around his positions. They constantly kind of just didn't commit to him as a player. I think but Minkah Fitzpatrick was a great player, and I think that Jeff Okudah could really fill in that position.
I think, just kind of going off the record, going off the track here for a second, I think Isaiah Simmons is kind of like Minkah Fitzpatrick, just more of a high caliber player coming out. Because if you remember, there's a lot of places that Minkah Fitzpatrick can play. He could play slot, outside corner, safety. He couldn't play, but he didn't have the body, the build for linebacker like Isaiah Simmons does. Isaiah Simmons can play just about anywhere on the defense. So that's kind of what I think. But
who do you got at number 6?
I have the Chargers at pick 6, taking Justin Herbert out of Oregon. I think the whole Tyrod Taylor, we'll roll with him. I think it's either a smokescreen or they're going to do that for a year and let him sit behind, or kind of like what the Browns were thinking to do with Baker Mayfield before Tyrod went down against the Jets. I think that that's what they're going to do. They're kind of Patrick Mahomes, this kind of situation for Justin Herbert.
Yeah. I also have the Chargers taking Justin Herbert.
All right, so pick that we agree on again.
Yep.
Well,
number 7.
Except since the first one, but that's about it. Number 7.
You got number 1 and 2.
Well, yeah, but you had the
all
Giants.
I had was going to New York.
Yeah. Pick number 7, Carolina. they take Isaiah Simmons. I think this is a really good pick to kind of replace Luke Kuechly. But if they, I could also see them going. Oh, I can't think of his name right now. No, not Javon Kinlaw. Derek Brown. I could see them going Derek Brown. In this pick, just to play it safe. So that could be a person you could see here.
All right. I'm not fully. I went with Jedrick Willis. Reason was what I was thinking was how Kyle Allen, Will Greer, and Cam, like all these starting quarterbacks, all got bullied in the pocket. They were constantly just getting smacked around. I think they need a better start of this offensive lineman because, like, you go by these kind of three pillars of what you want to do with your team, and it's like get your QB, protect your QB, and then get people that can get the other team's QB. Which is, get the quarterback you think could be your franchise guy, get the offensive line to protect him, and then work on your defense. So my whole thing is, I think the Panthers have their QB. I think they're going to stay with their not Larry. What the heck?
Teddy Bridgewater. I almost said
Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater. And then I think they're start working on that offensive line. Of course, they're going to be. It's going to be tough for Carolina. They are missing Luke Kuechly. He is retired. They're basically it's the Christian McCaffrey show.
I think either way, it could go either way for one of our picks. They could either go offensive line or defense. So pick number 8.
Yeah.
Arizona take Mekhi Becton, offensive line out of Louisville. I could see this happening for sure. They really need to worry more about protecting Kyler Murray than getting him weapons because he's not going to survive 5 seconds. Like, it's not even going to, you have these big wide receivers. It's not going to matter if he doesn't have time to throw. So.
Yeah. At number 8, I have the Arizona Cardinals taking Andrew Thomas.
So we kind of have the same position, just different people.
Just different players, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 9?
So this is where I have, the Lions because the Jags trade. I have them taking Jeff Okudah. I think he might fall this far because I don't think any of the other teams might hit on him. Maybe the Panthers. But I think other than that, I think Arizona, Chargers, the Dolphins, they worry more about, quarterback and O-line, and defense. So, yeah.
So the draft is officially opened, and the Bengals are on the clock as we speak. So, while we're waiting, we're going to try to stay ahead of them so, we can keep getting our picks off.
Yeah.
Number 9, I have the Atlanta Falcons. So they're taking Derek Brown. That defense, bro, it was atrocious.
Yeah, I could see that happening for them too. I believe
Derek Brown looked. I mean, he's one of these guys who I don't know if he'll be like one of these elite guys, but he will be a solid player for 10 years down the road, I think. So who do you got at number 10?
So number 10, I still have Cleveland there, and I think they take Jedrick Wills, offensive tackle, out of Alabama. I think, you got Conklin from free agency. That's a good start to protecting Baker Mayfield. You just get someone on the other side, and I think you'd be set for, you get a couple guards later in the draft, and I think you're good. So that's what.
No. You went with offensive line, right?
Yes.
I agree. Different player. I went with Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, I've seen Mekhi Becton go to the Browns.
I've seen him going to the Browns, Jets. I know.
I think the Cardinals would be a good spot for them too.
Yes.
So
there's a lot of great places for a guy like him. Offensive, this is a good offensive line draft. Good offensive line and wide receiver draft.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of everything sprinkled in, but I feel like there's a lot of talent around this position.
Yeah, definitely. I think wide receiver and quarterback for the first 2 rounds I think are pretty deep. Um,
Yeah.
but moving on to the Jets at pick 11, I have them taking C.D. Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. Losing Robbie Anderson, I know you get Bashad Perriman from the Buccaneers signed. And the offensive line is a big worry, but you have the second and the third round to worry about. All those players, I think you go out and get a star receiver like C.D. Lamb.
I also agree, just once again, different player. I went with Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah,
I think Jeudy is a guy, when I saw him, his technique is something, it's like, it reminds me of Michael Thomas. With CeeDee Lamb, I see him as a speedster, but I don't know. I see him as more of a slot guy.
I think he does really good on the short routes, and then just let him run after. So I think that's what. Uh,
Judy, I think it would be hard to argue that Judy does have the better hands, but CeeDee Lamb, his speed does add a new level, but it's so tough for me to put him above.
Speaking of Jerry Jeudy at pick 12 to the Las Vegas Raiders now. I have
If
Jerry
we'd say
Jeudy
it.
going to wide going to the Raiders. I think, you know, Amari Cooper was really good for them until they was pretty good for them until they decided to trade him away. And I think they might go to Alabama again and look for a star receiver. So I've seen people say he takes they take Henry Ruggs, but I think they take Jerry Jeudy, which is, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in this draft.
Alright. Well, I do not have them taking wide receiver. I have
Ooh,
them taking C.J. Henderson. That secondary has not improved. It's been bad for about 3 years now.
yeah.
C.J. Henderson is a guy I think that can fix this. And as far as wide receivers go, I know that they were never really a they weren't a big throwing team. They were much more of Josh Jacobs train. So 13, who do you got? San Francisco.
So actually, I have Denver moving up a couple spots,
Hmm.
so they can get their guy out of Alabama, Henry Ruggs the third. I think with Drew Lock's strong arm and someone with burners like that to pair along with Cortland Sutton, I think you're gonna have a pretty good offense if you get Drew Lock's accuracy down. If you get everything working right, I think and this is Chiefs fan right here. I think it could be an explosive uh, pair if you look at Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. That speed's just insane when you got an arm like Drew Lock and Patrick Mahomes. So
Yeah. I have a wide receiver being taken in this pick 13 too, but it is not Henry Ruggs the second. It is Justin Jefferson.
interesting. That's a
I think he really showed his value at LSU, and he is once it, he runs a he his route running is one of the best in the draft right now. And
interesting.
it's hard whenever you look at this wide receiver class. A lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't know if I wanted to put CeeDee Lamb there really bad, but I just couldn't. I thought San Francisco would be a better fit for Justin Jefferson than CeeDee Lamb. 14.
All
Rudy.
right. At pick 14, I have the
Uh-huh.
Buccaneers staying there, and I think they stay in state in Florida, and they take C.J. Henderson. Um, I think their defense did step up towards the end of the year, but I think uh, getting someone to the outside to play against receivers could really help that team and that defense. And they got rid of uh, one of their old first round picks in Vernon Hargraves, and I think this could be a really good replacement. So
I'm going down to Tampa Bay. Uh, a lot of things been going on down there. Tom Brady, he will be a buck. He has his
yes,
old friend Gronk. He has 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And I think he'll be adding a third starting wide receiver to that team in C.D. Lamb, as I think they will draft him here. I think that'll make them probably one of the most dangerous offenses ever. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, C.D. Lamb, and Gronkowski. Man, it's going to be a tough offense to stop.
So I've the 49ers here at pick 15 with that trade with Denver.
Hold on. The pick has just been called in.
Oh, it's been like 3 minutes, or 3 minutes left on the clock. I can't believe they took this long. So I think this is definitely Joe Burrow. I don't think there's a doubt about it.
Yeah. So you can So like if they don't take Joe Burrow, there had to been something.
I don't
I
think there's
can't.
a way that they don't. That's the thing. So this, I mean, they've already said that it's Joe Burrow, or they've sent Joe Burrow a jersey and everything. So
Yeah.
I don't think
If
this.
if if Burrow doesn't get selected here, I think Bengals fans are gonna
They're
want
gonna riot.
heads.
Yeah. We've had the whole off season with, does Burrow want to play in Cincinnati? Does he want to play for the Bengals? Uh,
I think people are literally at this point just looking for. They know it's such an easy pick that they're looking for
yeah.
something to make this draft to make the #1 pick interesting.
There's no doubt here that I believe it's Joe Burrow. There's
Here we
no.
go.
Let us go to the commission. Okay, here we go. With the first pick in the 2020 draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow, quarterback,
Here we go.
LSU.
Yep. So it's official. Joe Burrow is a Bengal. Uh,
So
I
Joe Burrow is finally a Bengal.
It felt
He's
like
finally a
forever.
Bengal.
Yeah.
So you said you were on number 15.
Okay, so yes, the 49ers with pick 15. I have them, adding another another player to that deep defense. But I think this would be a real help for them. So Xavier
Washington has just
McKinney,
been put on the clock.
out of Alabama,
All right.
for safety, and I think that would really help for that defensive backfield. I know you have Richard Sherman. He's kind of, he was really good last year, except a couple games, the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl, obviously,
He did
and
not. Yeah, he did not do well.
yeah. So, and you look at how the backside of that defense fell apart towards the end of the Super Bowl. You start wondering, what are those safeties doing? And I feel like you have a guy that can play slot corner and safety. Not fast enough to cover, someone as fast as like Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman, but fast enough to cover. I think they're slot guys. So
Mm-hmm.
that's who I have.
Well, I have Denver still at this pick, and I think they will take Henry Ruggs the third.
So
I think
that's a
what
pick
they
we both agreed on, but just different spots.
Yes, and here's the thing: Henry Ruggs. I mean, if you saw, I mean, we both know his. He was at the combine. He was a speed demon.
4.27, yeah, and he could have ran faster. That's the crazy part. But you also have to remember, John Ross ran a 4.22. So that is one big thing about Henry Ruggs for me uh, is he going to be like John Ross? Most of these burners like tend to get some sort of leg injury at the combine. You look at Henry Ruggs; he had I can't remember. I think it was something with his thigh or his quad or something. John Ross messed up his hamstring and apparently ended up being a real bad thing. He couldn't play for most of his rookie year. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of one thing that concerns me. But I think if you keep Henry Ruggs healthy, then again, the combine could have been a freak of nature for him. You just never know. But I think if you keep him healthy, uh, it's going to be a really good pick for the
Yeah,
Broncos.
for Denver.
Yeah.
All right, so number 16.
So I have
You have this
Atlanta.
belonging to Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay.
So pick 16. I think that they work on their pass rush or edge rushing, and they take your guy out of Iowa, AJ Epinesa.
Ooh, yeah, I'm going up high.
Yeah. Uh, you know, I feel like AJ Epinesa is a day two possibly. It just kind of depends on the team. So I think Atlanta's that team that really could use the pass rush. I didn't really think that uh, they'd go for a middle linebacker yet, or any defensive
The
player.
Redskins pick is in.
So yeah, I don't think I'm pretty sure this is
I
Chase Young again. I don't think this is
yeah.
anything else.
Before we do that, I'm just gonna go my 16 pick real quick.
Yeah.
I think it will be. And I will also think they'll be working on their defensive line. It'll be Javon Kinlaw. He hold on a second. He was a guy out of South Carolina. You know, the SEC builds
Yeah.
really good defensive players. Wasn't really talked about much, but you know, he is a guy I think can really impact for Jacksonville on this defense. They need to rebuild Saxonville to what it was. Because before, you know, they were just this dominant pass rush and it's just fizzled out. I'm waiting for them to cut to them
So
say, you
far,
know,
it's
the
just
commissioner.
comparisons. So
Yeah. So like what I'm waiting for, you know, the Bengals, they got their guy. I think he'll be.
it's exciting to see what tomorrow's going to be like for sure too. Um,
Oh wait, they're
are
doing an
they?
interview with Joe Burrow, so this is gonna be a while.
All right. So
To go to 17.
I still have Dallas here, and I think they work on their defense some more. And for some people, this might be a reach, but I think for me, this fits perfectly for the Cowboys. I think they go Grant Delpit, safety out of LSU. Uh, there's those possible trade rumors with Jamal Adams, and if you remember towards the end of or the end of the trade deadline, that they apparently almost had a deal done, and
Mm-hmm.
that deal could still possibly get done. You pair an LSU guy with another LSU guy, um, one great safety with a guy that can really learn the game from a great young star, and possibly be that other great safety for the Cowboys. And I think they really need to work on that defensive backfield. Losing Byron Jones is definitely a hit. I know he's a corner, but I think that this pick definitely improves the defensive backfield uh, tremendously. So
Now, you might look at me a little bit weird after this pick. Although I think the defense of the Dallas Cowboys was something a little bit rough, but I think it was one that was just very underperforming. I think it was better than what it was doing. And that's why I think the next pick for they're going to work on their offense and they're going to get a wide receiver, Jalen Rieger out of TCU.
yeah, I could see that happening. Well, I was gonna say, if they don't take a wide receiver this round, I
This is
think they'll
a
take one. Yeah, it's a really long interview. If they don't take one this
no,
round, I
no,
think they'll
this
take
is
one.
this is awkward. I'm a little bit ahead of you. They have Chase Young right now on the phone, so I'm guessing that Chase Young's up next.
Oh yeah, I see it on the Pat McAfee show.
This
Um,
is
yeah, I don't think there's a doubt in my mind right here that this is Chase Young. Um, Ron Rivera being in defensive mind. Uh, I'm watching this. Um,
Uh,
Ron
I mean, if they
Rivera.
don't do it at this point,
I mean, the pick's
here we
already
go.
in. They're talking to Chase Young. Here we go.
Let's go to Roger Goodell.
Yep.
With the second pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, Washington Redskins select Chase
Chase
Young,
Young.
defensive end, Ohio State.
As we expected, Chase Young is selected.
You were wrong though about the spot. So far I'm
Yes, I
two for
was.
two.
As the team, not the spot, the team.
Well, where he was going at least. Yeah.
Where he's going, I knew he'd be. We all knew he'd go to. So we're now on 18. Wait, sorry. Yeah, we are on 18. Yeah.
All right. Well, real quick, I want to say this is a pick to watch right here. The Lions have been saying how they want to trade down, and they could really do it if they get a run here with the Jags. If they get those two
Well, it feels like
picks.
the timers are going way quicker. Like it feels like the Bengals were on the clock for 10 minutes, then the
The
Redskins were put on the
Redskins,
clock
yeah, the
for 8
Redskins were
minutes,
ready.
and now the Detroit Lions have been on the clock on
Yeah.
the clock for 4 minutes.
So we are at pick 18 with Miami. I say that they get someone. Well, from at least my draft, they get someone to make Tua more comfortable in the pocket because that is what he is. He's a pocket passer, and I have them taking Austin Jackson, offensive tackle out of USC. For some, is kind of a reach, but I think. It's an improvement from what they have already. That O line is a hot flaming garbage can right there. Um,
Um,
uh,
yeah.
so I think
So
when
you
you have
have them taking
someone,
Austin Jackson.
yeah, I think when you have someone like Tua who's been injured as much as he has, I think it is a good decision to invest in his future and say an offensive tackle with him. So
Next up, I agree with you. Austin Jackson goes to Miami.
well, that's a pick that we both have, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it's harder as you go to farther down the list. It's harder to agree on picks, but I think Miami's offensive line was a problem. I think right now it's gonna be a really rebuild that takes longer than a year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a pretty long rebuild.
So the
So we're
Raiders
going down to number 19.
at pick 19. I'm surprised. Uh, I was going through the list and I didn't really see anyone that really. I think maybe Tampa Bay, but I don't know if they'd take him. Possibly the 49ers or I guess Atlanta. There was a couple spots he could have went, but I guess he fell all the way down here for me. Derek Brown. I'm
Ooh,
surprised.
I
Yeah,
had him. Dang, I had him up at like where did I am at number 9.
yeah. Looking over the board and team needs, I thought the 49ers already have a really good defensive line. Um, Atlanta could be another spot, but I think they'd work on pass rushing more than a run stopper. The Cowboys could also, I think the Cowboys, other than the Raiders, would be a really good possibility. But I just think that secondary is too bad to not
The Lions
address.
pick is in.
So I think this is Jeff Okuda. If
Okay.
not,
Well, right before we get into it, I'm going to try to get off of my 19th pick. It's been a long wait. There's probably one name that has not, I think, like, has high up there, but I have not said him yet. But finally, his name will be uttered. Tua Tagovailoa will be a Las Vegas Raider. I think he is overrated, but he will be good enough to the point where I think Chucky is kind of. There's signs and all these stories saying that Chucky doesn't like Derek Carr anymore.
yeah. You know, there's always a possibility of next year or the next year too, and you never know what they could do at round 2. So that's always a possibility if they don't take a quarterback, if Tua doesn't fall that far. Um, you know, I think it's going to be interesting. Now, the Lions are going to embarrass me here because they're not going to trade their pick as I thought they were because they've been fielding calls all day, but they're going to stay there, and I think this is Jeff Okuda. I think they get their guy. So,
Well, hold on, I think there's Matt Patricia. There is Bob Quinn. So, I guess I'll try to finish off. No, so have you said number 20?
Uh, I have not. So,
Wait, hold on, stop.
The 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Jeff Okuda.
Oh,
yep, there it is. So, I was right about the
so
team,
far.
but I wasn't right about the spot. So,
And there you see the reaction in Grand Prairie, Texas, where Jeff Okuda is from.
All right, Jeff Okuda. He is the third pick overall. We're gonna wait for New York to be on the clock. I'll hold my hands up. I was wrong.
yeah, I was wrong about the team and the spot. I was wrong about everything on this pick except Jeff Okuda going to the
I mean,
Lions.
you just called the Jeff Okuda. So
Yeah,
then, so who do you got at 20? Oh, New York
uh,
have a long time.
20. So, this is obviously going to be the Jags now. I don't think they're going to trade up. But I had the Lions taking Clavon Chase on
Oh
edge
my
rusher out of
God.
LSU. So,
Another one that we agree on. Clavon Chasen.
where did you have him going?
I had him in Jacksonville though.
Yeah, I could see that'd be a really good possibility. Um,
Yeah.
Definitely need to work on the rush with Unique Ngakwe out of the door. You already said that he's played his last game as a Jag, and I don't think he's going to play until he gets traded. So,
All right. So next we have
pick 21
21.
with the Eagles.
Philly.
They really need to work on their wide receiving core. Even if they do somehow, I can't remember if they re-signed Deshaun Jackson or not, or if he's still on contract or not. But you have Alshon Jeffrey, and I don't think that's going to be enough. I think they take Denzel Mims out of Baylor to help
Really?
Carson Wentz. Yes, um,
That is it. That is
I
that
think
is
I
not
think
what I was
he's the
expecting.
best fit for the Eagles. Uh, I think Brandon Ayuk could also be a really good possibility, but I think Denzel Mims is the better receiver out of all of them.
Um,
I do think T Higgins is really good, but I think Denzel Mims is just too good for the Eagles to pass up. So
all right. So next, 21. I got the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they need to work on. They don't need. I don't think they need to work on their wide receivers. I think it's a problem, but not the biggest problem. I think they need to get middle linebacker Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. One of the few defensive products that have ever come out of Oklahoma. And I
um,
think he'll make a difference in that. I think they need to work on their secondary overall. They've been
yeah,
they had a bad secondary before they got injured. They just had a bad wide receiving core whenever they because I mean Deshaun Jackson, if they get him, they have Alshon Jeffrey. I know they don't have Nelson Aguilar, but that's not really a loss because Nelson Aguilar
yeah.
can't catch a cold.
But they drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and I
Yeah,
thought
they
he
have
was gonna.
JJ Arcega.
I thought he was gonna be really good, but last year he just didn't really do as much. He might show up
Well,
more if they don't.
he had to make some plays just because like he had to he was getting injured left and right.
Yeah. So
So
on our
now,
next pick with Minnesota, I believe this is from the Bills, isn't it?
yep,
Um,
yep.
so pick 22, I think that they replace Xavier Rhodes with Christian Fulton out of LSU. I think
Ooh.
you know the corners are really essential for them in this first round. I think they really need to go get one, help out that secondary with. You lost Trey Waynes, you get rid of Xavier Rhodes. You don't really have much sitting back behind them. I think Mike Hughes. I can't remember if he's still on the team or not, but you know, you need a number one corner. So I think Christian Fulton can fill that spot.
I agree. They need a corner,
You don't have them
but
taking Christian Fulton though, do you?
no, I have them taking AJ Terrell, the Clemson corner who was one of the one guys in the big moment he completely shut down. at the time, the greatest quarterback ever seen, Tua Tagovailoa. He shut him down in the national championship game.
Yeah.
Exposed him. One of the only, he is the only. He is the only corner or safety to have a pick six over Tua Tagovailoa.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he did. It was in the national championship. He perfectly read his ball. It was on the first drive of the game. He just kind of waddled one. It looked like it was going to be like kind of like the running back kind of runs out wide and tries to gain some yardage.
Yeah.
And he just read
Breaks it open.
And ran, like no one caught it. No one was catching him.
So
next you
New
have
England at pick 23. Tom Brady out of the door. Rob Gronkowski just traded. Bill, almost said Bill O'Brien for a second. Yeah, Bill Belichick needs to figure something out because I don't think Jared Stidham or Brian Hoyer is going to be your quarterback for next season, and I think that they take Jordan Love out of Utah State here. So, I could see Jordan Love falling a little bit, like a couple more spots, but I think he's going to the first round at some point. I just don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be a day 2 person. But
I think
a good spot for him would be Green Bay, like the absolute best landing spot. You sit behind Aaron Rodgers, kind of like the Favre Rodgers thing. You do the same thing. You keep Aaron around, teach him, and let Jordan Love be Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm. Next, I think Belichick has a plan. I think he'll be fine with starting Jared Stidham. I think he's gonna work on. I think he knows he has decent wide receivers. They just weren't doing good. They weren't doing their job last year.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that was purely lacking in their offense was tight end. They were literally Ben Watson, Matt Lacoste. Did you know who those two players were at the beginning of the year?
Wasn't Ben Watson from New Orleans? And
yeah. Did you know who Matt Lacoste was?
I did not know. No.
Well, he got a lot of action in there. The Giants pick is in I have them taking Cole Kmet, tight end.
All right, I think the next pick's gonna be interesting when we get to it. But with the Giants really running out the clock here.
They took their time.
They really did take the time.
I think the last 3 picks were. The Detroit one wasn't as obvious, but it was still,
the Redskins didn't waste any time. It's just that interview with Joe Burrow that really
took too long.
Yeah, so I think the fastest pick has been the Redskins. Let's see what the pick is here.
Are you seeing the thing over Joe Judge right now?
Not yet. I'm watching.
Right.
I'm trying to get both the Pat McAfee show and the draft in my eye because the Pat McAfee show is a little bit faster, but.
All right, and so we are right now at pick 24. Man, we're almost done with our mock drafting yet.
Yeah. So, I'm sure this is Tristan Wirfs. Definitely, if it is Tristan Wirfs, I'm wrong on the spot and the team, so.
Alright, well, while they're making this pick, oh my gosh, Dave Gettleman, look, man, there's a picture of Dave Gettleman. Idiot.
Didn't want to see that. Alright, you want to go over the New Orleans pick?
Sure.
Pick 24. I have them expanding on their defense. You talked about this guy earlier.
Draft picks in.
Oh.
Here we go.
The big guys up front. Isaiah Simmons is still there. Dabo Swinney has called him a beautiful football player. What will the Giants do? The pick is in. Let's go to the commish.
So I think this is Tristan Wirfs or an offensive tackle.
I think it's going to be
NFL draft.
Isaiah Simmons.
The New York Giants select Andrew Thomas.
Whoa!
Whoa.
That's crazy. I was actually right. Thank you, Dave Gettleman.
Surprise that it's an offensive lineman, but perhaps somewhat of a surprise that it's this offensive lineman, Andrew.
That's crazy.
Okay.
That's crazy. I was right on that pick. So that's crazy. I'm actually I'm actually glad I
I
was
didn't have
right
Andrew
about that.
Thomas until 8.
So now
I mean, let's
we
just be
have
honest. That is a shock.
yeah. Now we have Miami on the board. Tua's still there, and Justin Herbert's still. This is where it's gonna get interesting. I'm
No
excited for
one's
this.
taken Tua. No one's
Yeah,
touched Tua, and Isaiah Simmons is also still on the board,
I'm.
along with Tristan Wirfs.
I think I might actually be right about
Taking
this so far.
Andrew Thomas, that changes things a lot. I think Jedrick Willis and Tristan
That's
Wirfs are
crazy.
better than Andrew Thomas.
Um,
But I
I
mean, I
thought for
guess.
sure Gettleman was gonna take Wirfs because Wirfs just seemed like more of a guy for him. But
I guess. Yeah.
kind of looking down, I think Arizona's still gonna take Mekhi Becton. I'm trying to see maybe the Jags take Wirfs still. Um,
I'm
for
losing
me,
Wirfs on that board, man. It's weird.
I mean I had the Jags taking Wirfs, but at pick 3, I didn't think they would.
All right, so
I didn't think
number
Wirfs would be
20,
past top 5.
number
Uh,
24.
yeah, so I have Kenneth Murray. Linebacker out of Oklahoma. I really think they need to work on their linebacking core. Um, it just, I don't know, seemed like a good pick for me. So that's
Okay.
all I can.
I had them working on wide receivers because right now Drew Brees is
They're
starting to Michael
stacked.
Thomas.
They have Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Ted Ginn's supposed to be back there, and don't forget, like you
Ted
have.
Ginn. Come on.
I mean,
Come on.
he's pretty
Come
good.
on.
You
I
can
have them
you can
taking
slot out Alvin
T.
Kamara.
Higgins.
You are one spot ahead of me.
One spot ahead. Okay. You
So
had okay.
I have
You go ahead.
Minnesota at pick 25 taking T Higgins out of Clemson. I think
You
they
know, I
really
almost put him there.
I think they get a guy because I don't think Adam Thielen is a true number 1 wide receiver. I do think he works better with a 1-2 punch kind of attack, and I think T Higgins would be a pretty good replacement for Stephon Diggs. And I'd like to touch on my pick earlier about Christian Fulton. I was going to put Trayvon Diggs there, but I just figured the Vikings are already done with the Dig brothers and don't want any more of their drama. So,
Yeah. Well,
that was
the
my
25,
philosophy behind that.
the 25th pick goes back to the Vikings, and let me just say, the Vikings, like every time they lost to a good team, who got the blame for it?
Kirk Cousins. Yep.
Correct. And I look at that game against Seattle in particular. Kirk Cousins had a pretty solid game. He didn't light the world on fire, but it wasn't like he was like incompetent.
Yeah.
And yet, all I saw on sports radio during the day was, oh, Kirk Cousins, man, he can't do it. He's just awful. And I'm sitting like, it wasn't his fault. It was the defense. So I sit here and I think Minnesota need to work on their defense. And that's when they get a guy I think you like. They get out of Penn State, Yetur Gross-Matos.
Oh, yes. He is an absolute
Yetur.
game record for me. I love watching him. I love his story. I really hope that he succeeds in the NFL because he's just so much fun to watch. I watched some Penn State games. I watched their bowl game, and I just loved watching him. Yeah, and Gross Matos had the opportunity to go work out and not be with his team for the bowl game. He said, "You know what? This is my team. I've been with these guys for a while now. I'm gonna stick to it to the end," and I like that. So,
Yeah, I can respect the guy does that.
yeah, I love him as an edge rusher, and I love him as a person. So I think
Minnesota getting
think
him would be nice.
yeah, I think he'd be a good fit there.
So, where do
Miami's
you have
third
it?
and last pick at pick
Man,
26.
Freaking draft, man. 3 first rounders.
DeAndre Swift out of Georgia. Trading
Oh,
away
God.
Kenyon Drake. You get rid of you don't really have any good running backs to talk about here. So I
I
think.
can't believe you put DeAndre Swift over Jonathan Taylor.
You see,
You
hold
spent
on,
your
no,
entire
hold on. Um, I
Dolphins
think,
pick is in.
I think Jonathan Taylor is the best running back, but, uh, uh I think, um, you know, I think Miami takes him here. I'll be right back. Uh,
Hurry up, bro. The pick is in.
so for me, no doubt, I think this is Tua right here.
You think it's Tua?
I think this is Tua.
Alright.
I've
Pick
been
is in. Here we
dying.
go.
Now the pick is in. Let's go to the commissioner and see what happens. With the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, Alabama. Well, there it is, which means for the
There it
first time
is.
since Kellen Moore, who is now the Cowboys' offensive
So,
coordinator for the past,
there's
is going to
another
have a
pick that I am right on.
task in the NFL, provided, of course, that Tua is healthy and ready to go.
I thought for sure that Justin Herbert thing was definitely a smokescreen for the Chargers. And speaking of which, they're going to be on the clock here soon.
Yep, they are now on the clock for me.
So,
So for the Miami Dolphins, you had DeAndre Swift.
yeah.
I have Cesar Ruiz, center.
Ooh. So we're not far off. For my next pick, pick 27 with Seattle, I don't think they're going to trade down like people have been saying. I think they're going to build onto their offense, but not a skill position player. I have them taking Cesar Ruiz right here, center out of Michigan. I think the O-line definitely needs to improve for Seattle. Um, you know, they don't really have any good players, and you're paying Russell Wilson big boohoo bucks right here, and you really need
Boo-hoo
to,
butt.
yeah, you really need to protect Russell Wilson here. So,
Yeah. I have pick 27. The Seattle Seahawks will step to the board and will take Austin Jackson.
that's a pretty good pick right there.
Yeah, I had him dropping, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact I just didn't know I didn't know what to think of the guy, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was
You know,
like, being at USC, it's just like that defense was never that vaunted, and I was just like, will this guy really be as an impact player as I'm hearing? But I think the defense of Seattle could use a guy like him
yeah.
with their needs. I think their needs match up with that.
So, pick 28, the reigning number 1 seed of the AFC, Baltimore Ravens, at pick 28, and I think they get a new Patrick at linebacker, Patrick Queen from LSU. I think their defense is scary on paper, but I think it'd be really good with someone like Patrick Queen to have on there. So, yeah.
Well, I agree. Patrick Queen.
There we go. This is a good pick that we agree on.
I think it's an absolute steal, to be honest. If you look at Patrick
Yes.
Queen, getting him this point in the first round is something you gotta love. And that Baltimore defense, I think they did have a good amount of Pro Bowlers on it. You got, of course, Earl Thomas,
Yeah.
and you had Matthew Judon, of course. He was also a solid player.
Yeah, I don't think they go wrong with picking Patrick Queen here.
Now they have Calais Campbell, and now they get, I think they will get Patrick Queen.
Yeah. The Tennessee Titans at pick 29. I think they take a pass rusher here, and you talked about this guy earlier. I think they take Yatir Gross-Matos out of Penn State.
Okay.
I think he'd be scary with that Titans defense. So, yeah.
I don't disagree.
I don't know. I think it'd be good.
29, I have the Tennessee Titans. What were they built around last year? What do they
Run.
rely on?
Derrick Henry.
Their run.
Yep.
That's why I think they're going to go offensive line to make sure he can plow through. That's why I go Isaiah Wilson.
All right.
think
So
he'll be
the
a-
Packers at pick 30. I have them taking a wide receiver. I have them taking Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. I think Aaron Rodgers could use another weapon other than Devontae Adams. They got rid of Jimmy Graham over the offseason, and I think you just give Aaron Rodgers another weapon. So,
All right. Once again, we agree. We're agreeing a lot here. Brandon Ayuk. A lot of what you just said. Last year they were way too dependent on Devontae Adams in the run. Whenever you're a team that likes to have that big arm to throw, you need to have a strong wide receiver core, and that's what they did not have.
yeah.
So I think Brandon Ayuk, I didn't get to catch much. I got to catch him during that Oregon game. He was very talented, and he's obviously he has a lot of talent. And I'm right now seeing Tua's younger brother, who literally looks like Tua just got hit with a shrink ray. But he just looks like a way younger Tua. But
Man,
yeah,
the Chargers are really running down the clock here too.
yeah, well, 2.5 minutes, not that bad.
Yeah.
So number 31, we're on the second to last pick.
49ers here, still. And I have them still stacking up on their defense, getting someone across from Richard Sherman. I have them taking Trayvon Diggs here out of Alabama. Like I said, the same thing about Xavier McKinney. And, you have teammates here, too. Two Alabama defensive players. I think, the secondary needs some work. You had some off-season departures. And I think Trayvon Diggs is a good player.
Johnny Manziel, is he in the Chargers room right now?
I
No, they're playing.
Down on the Tom Brady sweepstakes. Phillip Rivers is now a member of Indianapolis Colts. They need something to.
This is Herbert.
They've been to that brand new stadium in Los Angeles.
I feel like you're leaving and you're figuring out information.
Nah, sorry, I had to let my dog back in.
Round or in the first round would certainly be something that they could hang their.
Here we go.
The pick is in, so let's find out what the Chargers are doing at 6.
Come on, Spanos, do something stupid. Do something stupid, Spanos.
With the 6th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Justin Herbert.
There it is.
Oregon.
Well, we got that one right. Justin Herbert, number 6.
All right, so, division rivals get their quarterback. I think this is a good pick for the Chargers.
You wonder, will he start?
I think it's going to be another Baker Mayfield kind of thing.
He'll be competing with it with Tyrod?
Yeah, and then Tyrod might get injured or something.
Do something stupid.
Yeah, and, it's Dean Spanos. A lot of things can happen too. They could cut Tyrod Taylor. So
we're at 31. You gave us your 49er prediction, Trevon Diggs. I also went the corner. But mine is Jeff Gladney.
Oh, TCU. I like Jeff Gladney. He's my favorite corner out of this draft. I think for Chiefs fans, he's definitely a guy to watch. at 32. So.
And at 32, our Chiefs finally get to make their selection.
All right. With the 32nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking a player out of Wisconsin, running back Jonathan Taylor.
You son of a bitch. Unbelievable.
Like I have said before, I'll say it again. A guy like Jonathan Taylor, really taking the pressure off of Patrick Mahomes with the running game, would be really great.
Be honest. You gave us Jonathan. You drafted DeAndre Swift early just because you wanted us to have Jonathan Taylor.
I think DeAndre Swift will go over Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I think DeAndre Swift will go.
No,
If he doesn't go before Jonathan Taylor, I don't know what's going wrong. But if he doesn't even go to the Dolphins at 26, and if he goes to he ends up at us, there's the super high possibility that you get with a lot of the experts best running back in the draft. So
all right,
that could also be a real possibility.
The 32nd pick, NFL draft, the reigning, defending Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, I'm wearing the shirt
Step
too.
To the mic. And they will not to the mic, but they will be able to select my boy from Iowa, A.J. Epinesa.
Yeah.
I think that vaunted pass rush with Clark, Jones, and Epinesa is going to be something you're going to fear. And now
I don't know. I don't think Epinesa goes.
The Panthers pick is in.
Okay, so I think this is Isaiah Simmons right here.
Me too. I think this at this point it's going to be Isaiah Simmons.
I don't think there's a doubt that they pass up on Isaiah Simmons, but it is a real possibility that they take Derek Brown here. It's Matt Rule's.
Tristan Wirfs. He's just still sitting there.
Well, yeah, but I don't think they're going to take an offensive lineman. I think they're definitely going to take defense.
My mock draft had them taking Wirfs, so I won't be surprised if Isaiah Simmons gets drafted. I will be surprised though if Derek Brown got drafted.
I think Derek Brown's the safe pick for Matt Rule. I think it's a strong possibility that it could be Derek Brown, but I still favor Isaiah Simmons. Derek Brown is kind of the the safe pick for Matt Rule, and it's his first head coach job. It could be a real safe pick for him. It kind of shows this first pick kind of shows you of what his tenure is going to be like right here in this draft. So
yeah. Now, if you look at our drafts, you see I don't think any of us went too far out on a limb. I think your biggest out on a limb there was DeAndre Swift.
Yeah,
I think you may have been pulling out of straw.
I don't know.
My biggest whiff, it's been proven now to be a whiff, is Tua Tagovailoa going 19th.
Yeah, I think I really missed on Tristan Wirfs at 3 because I really thought.
Oh yeah, well I might not. Let's see how far he drops.
I might not.
16 spots.
I might not miss on where he goes though if he keeps falling. But Arizona.
So your hope is that you were hoping that he falls to
pick 9. Yeah.
All right. You're gonna have to hope.
And I really wished on pick 9.
You're gonna have to hope that Arizona is the one danger of taking him before Jacksonville.
Yeah. I really wished on pick 9 because I had the line switching and still getting Jeff Okudah. I was right about the place, not right about the pick though.
All right, so we were waiting for them to cut to the actual